Farm Basics is brought to you by the Liberty Link trait and Liberty herbicide from Bayer. The most reliable weed management solution, Liberty Link and Liberty herbicide are the link to efficient row crop production and sustainable weed management.
Questions we always get as we travel around the country and also by email or even on Twitter is how much does it really cost to farm? So Brian's been furiously calculating here on his sheet of paper exactly what some costs are that go into putting a crop in the ground.
You say the word exactly, and it varies dramatically. So we're just going to give you some average costs, even off our own farm, but it does vary depending on the crop you're going to raise, the area of the country you're in, what you're fighting for weeds and insects and diseases, if your soil already has lots of fertility or if it's short of fertility. I mean, there are a whole bunch of different factors here.
And really, this is what it comes down to for farmers every day. They've got to decide, well, what crop am I going to plant? And you may think, well, they're going to just plant corn because they're in an area that grows corn. No, they aren't necessarily going to do that. They're going to run the numbers and see, well, does it make more money for me to raise soybeans, or does it make more money for me to raise wheat or another crop? And it's all about running these numbers every year because the numbers change really every day of the week as the markets move around.
Well, yeah, but it's not only what you're going to sell it for, but what we wanted to focus on today is what does it really cost to put that crop in the ground? And, you know, we talk to non-farmers all the time, and a lot of them have no idea what we actually invest on the farm. And we talk about it always as an investment too, not as an expense. We got to look at it as we're investing this money, are we going to get a good return? So let's start here. With rent, this varies dramatically, so I'm not even going to put a figure out there.
Let's start with the controversial topic right off the bat. What's your cash rent in your area? It's tremendously different. And what happens is whoever owns that land, whether it's someone that's had the land for 100 years and they used to farm it when they were younger and now they've retired and they're just renting it out. Or if it's an investor that came into an area, bought some farm ground because he thought it'd be a nice asset to hold. Or it could be somebody that said, you know, I just want to have some good deer hunting ground like we're on right now, and they want to get a good return. So a lot of times, whatever the cost of that land is, well, a landowner will figure, well, I want to get a 3% return or a 4% return.
Yep, and that's where I disagree with Darren, because in a lot of cases, like even our dad, all right, he bought his ground for $250 an acre. Well, right now in our area, you're going to find some rents that might be $150 to $300 an acre. So there are literally some guys that are getting as much back as what they paid for the ground. That's just the way it goes. But all right, so if we forget about rent for just a second, we'll come back to that. You got fertilizer, and I break it down to nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, micronutrients, and I'm going to figure corn. So all my numbers here are for corn. So roughly what we're investing on our farm, $70 for nitrogen, $30 for phosphorus, $25 for potassium, $5 for sulfur, $10 for micronutrients. Then I get to seed, $125 an acre, herbicide, $20 an acre, insecticide, another $20 an acre, fungicide, $20 an acre, and then biological products, and this may be one you're not too familiar with, but we talk about it quite a bit on Ag PhD, $10 an acre. So right there, I've got $335 plus rent. But that's only one side of it. In addition to that, we have a number of other things. So on your farm, you may have employees. So we do on our farm. So we have payroll and payroll taxes and benefits. But let's leave that out for a second. Let's just say you were doing all the work, or you've got your unpaid brother doing all the work. All right, so then you go to repairs, $15 an acre. Depreciation, $70 an acre. Electric bill, $5 an acre. Gas, oil, and tires, $25. Drying fuel, that's to dry the corn down, $20 an acre. Crop insurance, $30 an acre. Whole farm insurance, $20. Interest, $20. Supplies, $10. That's $215.
I just feel like I don't even want to farm. I mean,
I'm just saying that's $215 plus the $335 you had earlier. That's $550. Plus we haven't figured anything for rent, and we haven't paid you or your employees yet. So here's just figuring that $550 times 2,000 acres, let's say, for example, that's $1.1 million plus rent, which is often the biggest expense, and payroll. So here's the other way I look at this. If I'm going to raise 180 bushel corn times $4 corn, that's $720 an acre. I already spent or invested $550, and I haven't paid the rent yet, and I haven't paid myself yet. I've got 720 minus 550. That only leaves me 170 for rent and payroll or paying myself. If you're paying more than $170 an acre for rent, then you're losing money on the
Well,
farm.
and if you are paying $170 for rent, you're just breaking even. So what's the point of farming if you're not going to make any money at it? There's got to be some money in it for everybody. And this is what it comes down to. The cost of farming is a lot more than just, well, what's the cash rent going to be this year? Because farmers are going to vary what they do with the inputs. For example, let's just say that the cash rent was $200 in that situation. Well, a farmer would look at the numbers and say, I can't possibly make this work at $200 cash rent. So what's he going to do? He's going to cut his costs somewhere. Maybe he'll use some cheaper seed, but more than likely, he's going to cut back on fertilizer because that's one of his biggest expenses.
The thing is, if it squeezes him so much, then he's going to start gambling. He's going to bet that, hey, I can cut back on this and it's not going to hurt me too much. But you know what? It may hurt him quite a bit. So anyway, in summary, we just wanted you to see there are a lot of costs when it comes to farm. It really takes an awful lot of work to get that crop in the ground, and you're really relying on Mother Nature so things turn out good.
Well, your costs may have been just a little bit low, Brian, if you're fighting our Weed of the Week. Can you identify this week's weed?